eyebrows and the eyes. Here's the important part about this area. One, you want to make sure that if you have anything masked off, before you start this, you take off the masking tape, okay? Again, that's probably the #1 mistake. Can you get that door for me? That's the #1 mistake a lot of people make on this project, is that they put the masking tape on at the right time, but they don't take it off at the right time. So make sure you take off your tape. Now, for those of you that have glasses, remember you have to do your glasses first. When you're doing the glasses, and I'll show this one right here, okay? You need to make sure to do the glasses, you basically mask around the outside and the inside edges of your frame. Once you get that all masked off, then you just simply go in and ink that in. You do need to pay attention to where any lighter values might be, so you can fade that off. If you've got highlights like she has right here, she just simply, again, faded it off, left it white, and then went back up here and did the rest there, okay? Some of this other little stuff, like right there, you can try to tape it off, but if you do lose it, again, we can, I'm going to have white colored pencil, and then even a little bit of white acrylic paint that you can go in and kind of bring some of those things back again if you lost them, okay? So as far as the eyes go, okay, I do have a lot of kids mask off. I'd say everybody in here is going to mask off one specific area, and that's going to be for the pupil and the iris of the eye, okay? But other than that, you may not be masking anything else off. I think a lot of kids make the mistake that they think that they need a mask off around their eyebrows. Don't do that, because again, it's the same thing that I talked about with the hairline here in the forehead, is that if you do mask that off, it kind of makes it look like you have a wig on. You'll notice that the hair gradually grows out of the skin. And it's the same case with the eyebrows, okay? So the eyebrows, do not mask those off, okay? Now with the eyebrows, you're going to be doing a combination of stamping and some line work with the map board or the tag board, depending on what kind of line you want, okay? You will notice that your hairs grow in different directions and they are different lengths. Pay attention to that. If you want to, what you can do is draw in a lot of those hairs that you see with pencil first, and then just very simply go over top of it with your inked map board or tag board. And so that way you can kind of work it out with pencil first so that you can erase it if you don't like it and make corrections. You will notice that in the middle section of your eyebrow, that's where your eyebrow tends to be the darkest, is right in the middle, because the hair is the longest there and you have the most hair in the middle, okay? So you'll notice that a lot of times in that middle section of your eyebrow, you don't see as many hairs. That might be where you actually do a lot of stamping, more stamping than line work. You'll notice that you'll see more line work at the inner part of your, or the beginning of your eyebrow, and at the outer part of your eyebrow. Now on hers, you do see hairs on both of hers, but on some of these, I'll show you like this one with Sean, okay? With Sean, his eyebrow on the dark side of his face, he doesn't even see any hairs at all. In fact, this all sort of kind of blends into this shadow right here. So you might be in that situation where the dark eyebrow just doesn't have any line work. Now if you guys look here, again, this one has a lot of line work, but right in here, this is where he went in and stamped a little bit more, covering up some of that line. So you want to make sure, you want to be careful not to go too crazy with the lines, because it could look like, you know, like sometimes what your grandma does when she's drawing on her eyebrows with her, eyebrow, everybody knows what I'm talking about. That look, you want to be careful with that, okay? So don't go too crazy with the lines, okay? So there's that part. I'll show you a couple more. Here's another eyebrow. She had really thick, darker eyebrows. So you'll notice again that you don't even really see a lot of line work in here, except for the end and kind of on the outside. So she did a lot more stamping than she did line work. All right, so let's talk about the actual inner eye, or the eye area, okay? Everybody is gonna need to mask off for your iris and your pupil. You're gonna first mask off for the pupil, which is the black part of your eye, okay? So what you're simply gonna do is you're gonna take a piece of masking tape, You're gonna put it on top of your drawing right there. You're gonna trace your pupil, which again is the black part of your eye. You're gonna trace it, take that tape off, cut it out with the X-Acto knife, put it back on, stamp it in, take it off. Okay, you got your perfect pupil after that. Then the next step for you to do is then you gotta kind of make sure that it kind of dries. And depending on how big your iris is, you may not be putting the tape directly on top of all of this. But the next step then is to mask off around your iris, cut whatever you need to cut, and then start inking in the iris. Now, the darker your iris color is, the less line work you're gonna see in there, and the less sort of variety of values that you're gonna see in there. So if you have really dark brown eyes, you're not gonna see too much detail in there, okay? But the lighter your eyes, you will see. In fact, a lot of times the lighter your eye is, you'll actually see kind of like, it looks like kind of just lines that kind of radiate from the pupil and kind of blend out to the outside edge. So you can see she used a combination of the map board, the tag board, and some stamping. But while she's working on this, it's all taped around there to mask and protect everything around it, okay? So everybody will notice too that everybody's got a kind of like a darker outline around your iris. You want to make sure you get that in. You can see on this one how different it looks from the one over here on the light side. Again, it's because this is in a lot of shadow, okay? You want to make sure, again, remember our lower eyelid is like a shelf. There's two edges to it, so pay attention to that. And pay attention to how your eyelashes grow out of your eyelid. And I think this is probably a better example. You can see a little bit better. So again, see how thick that is. Now that little shelf, your lower eyelid will either be darker or lighter depending on how the light's going to hit, okay? In her situation, it was darker, but you can see it's actually darker here in the inner corner. The outer corner lightens up right there. And then, of course, you've got the top here. And again, those eyelashes, guys, are not the same length, they're not the same size, they're not going the same direction, and they're not even spaced out evenly. If you get into the habit of kind of making out all of those look the same, it's gonna look very formulated and very fake, more cartoon-like than realistic. So the less perfect they are, the more natural it's gonna look, okay? Now, let me talk about this area right here. Now I will show you Lily's. I'll go back to Lily's, if it will let me. Now on Lily's, and I even think on Sean's, go to Sean first. He did, because of the way that his top eyelid was shaded, he did mask off the top right here because he didn't want to get any of that dark shadow he had right there on top of his eyelid over here in this area where it was highlighted. So some of you might want to tape off above that crease that you all have because you might see that there might be some specific shadows here. Now this right here, he did not mask off at all. He did not have to put a piece of tape there. That was an area that was big enough that he could control where he was working. She did not mask off for that. She didn't mask off for that. She did. So you can see again, she's got a dark shadow right here on her top eyelid. She masked off right here on the top and then stamped that in and then took it off and then did the rest. She actually didn't do a lot of masking on her project. The only thing she did was her iris and pupil. So there's your eye area, okay? So we're gonna be working on that today and on block day. And again, if you are not working in your eye area today, you need to try to come in for Open Lab today and tomorrow and come in until you get yourselves caught up, okay? Project's due next Friday, so that's it.